Good evening. Good evening. I am calling this meeting to order. The time is 5:30 p.m. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, this meeting is officially open with the quorum present. We will now move to pledges, which will be led by John Cope.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I will now turn it back over to Mr. Cope for our recognitions.
Tonight we will begin by recognizing our JROTC students from Dunbar High School who greeted us this evening. We have Cadet Berkeley, from Dunbar High School this evening, we have Cadet Berkeley, Cadet Benton, Cadet Nibutanya, Cadet Lopez, Cadet Patlin, Cadet Harris, Cadet Williams, Cadet Dotson, and Master Sergeant Scott and Captain Anderson. Let's give them a round of applause. This evening, we are excited to celebrate and honor some exceptional individuals and groups within our Fort Worth ISD community. These individuals and organizations have demonstrated a remarkable commitment to education, innovation, and service, and it's our privilege to recognize their outstanding achievements. First, let's shine a spotlight on a group of remarkable students who have secured internships at two of the aerospace industry's giants, Lockheed Martin and Bell Textron. These young talents, 8 seniors from various high schools, have not only secured an invaluable opportunity through Project Lead the Way engineering program, but have also been awarded a $1,000 scholarship to further their STEM studies at their chosen college or university. This initiative aligns perfectly with our goal to provide enriching work-based experiences, bridging the gap between education and the real-world engineering field. Let's give these young scholars a round of applause for their remarkable achievement. Next, we want to acknowledge a groundbreaking partnership that's shaping the future of our students. The Fort Worth Police Department and Fort Worth ISD have joined forces to establish the High School Police Academy. This program, represented by students from Eastern Hills and South Hills High Schools, equips them with a deep understanding of the criminal justice system, providing invaluable insights into the field. It's an initiative that paves the way for students interested in pursuing careers in law enforcement. We commend these students for their dedication and commitment to learning about this essential field. Let's give them all a round of applause. Lastly, we have a true hero in our midst, someone whose tireless dedication to education and the community has earned her the prestigious 2023 Heroes for Children Award from the Texas State Board of Education. Sandra Maria Garcia, State Chair of the Hispanic Women's Network of Texas and a valued member of the YWLA Foundation, has made a profound impact on Fort Worth ISD. As a committed volunteer leader for over 14 years, she has played an instrumental role in advocating for quality education and safe environments for our students. Her work with undocumented families, mentoring programs, and advocacy at school board meetings has been nothing short of inspiring. Sandra's contributions to our community are immeasurable, and we are immensely proud to have her among us. Let's give her a round of applause. These remarkable individuals and groups exemplify the spirit of excellence, dedication, and community that makes Fort Worth ISD so special. We thank them for their exceptional contributions and look forward to seeing their continued impact on our students and community. This concludes our recognitions.
Congratulations to everyone honored here this evening. Thank you all for coming. And now we're up to board committee and superintendent reports. Are there any comments or questions from any of the trustees concerning the written reports? At this time, we will hear public comment addressing items on the agenda as well as items of a general nature or topics not specifically listed on the agenda. Let me remind you that because of restrictions by the Texas Open Meetings Act, board members may not engage in a verbal exchange about a subject that has not been posted. We will listen and take notes, but the board is prohibited from responding to any inquiries made during a board meeting on any topic not posted on the agenda. However, the board may reply with 1, a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry, 2, recitation of existing policy in response to the inquiry, or 3, direct the person to visit with staff about the issue. Per board policy BED local, to allow everyone the opportunity to speak, no presentation may exceed 2 minutes unless the speaker has prior approval for additional time because of the use of a translator. Speakers who require the assistance of a translator are permitted double the allotted time of speakers who do not require the assistance of a translator. As soon as the speaker begins speaking, the time clock will start. Our first speaker is Reed Biltz, followed by Doreen Geiger. Okay, Doreen Geiger. Sabrina Ball.
Good evening. I volunteer with Defense of Democracy as their Tarrant County Chair. I've been a Fort Worth ISD parent for 11 years. I really appreciate Fort Worth ISD Live on YouTube. Thank you for that. It used to be speakers were civil and polite and mainly Fort Worth ISD stakeholders. Now when a parent wants to address the board, they have to be a little brave. They might be accused of being a groomer or a pedophile or evil. I understand the Open Meetings Act requires you to give everyone the opportunity to speak, but we can set reasonable boundaries that could better support our families. I gave you a packet. On page 2 is the board meeting page for Louisville ISD. This is what you find when you click the option to address the board. There's some great info on resolving issues before a meeting. Skip down to guidelines. we recommend that you adopt their policy for speakers. It says, speakers are requested to limit their remarks to 3 minutes for LISD stakeholders and 1 minute for non-LISD stakeholders. Also, we recommend we be given first priority and all non-stakeholders go at the end of public comment or in a separate section so we can get home earlier. Sometimes these meetings go way too long because we have determined that speakers from outside of the district come each month and limit the time we have to speak. They disrupt the climate of our boardroom. These speakers ask you to consider policies that are outside of your scope as board trustees. In particular, the injection of biblical principles into public education. That's their goal. It violates the Establishment Clause of our Constitution, and their book challenge efforts are in violation of students' First Amendment rights. In the back of your packet, you'll find the main group's Who We Are info, which includes a statement. Please check the last page. Thank you.
Thank you. Daryl Guyton. Ann Christian, followed by Lon Burnham.
Good evening. I'm a math teacher at Dunbar High School. It's my 6th year there. I am currently on administrative leave and been recommended for termination. I've served the Dunbar community for 6 years, coached 5 years, fed the students out of pocket. I attend the Dads of Dunbar meetings on Fridays, first Friday of the month. My goal every year for myself is perfect attendance because I like to be there with the students. One of my jobs is to protect the students in the classroom, no matter what, from each other, and you make sure that the environment is safe so they can learn. On September the 8th, I was attacked by a student. I was in a rolling chair, and when he pushed me, I flew into a wall, and everything on the desk broke. There's glass everywhere, and I defended myself with a pen to make him stop. I did it with restraint, called the parent and did what I was told to do, and then I got a letter saying I'm recommended for termination because I used a weapon on a student. This sets precedent that Fort Worth ISD will condone violence to teachers by allowing a student to attack a teacher and firing the teacher for defending himself. The student was not injured seriously, even though there was some damage, which I informed the parent immediately and even checked on the student. He was not suspended. He was in my class on Monday. And even with that incident, I didn't have any qualms against him. Welcomed in. I have his assignment that he turned in before I was sent on the administrative leave. And there's questions involved here. I don't understand how that can work and how that's safe, but it creates a really unsafe environment for teachers, especially ones that can't defend themselves. A couple years ago, I had a friend who had a coworker, and the coworker was pregnant, and the student kicked the kid in the stomach and killed the baby. And then you have incidents in Uvalde or Timberview where students are attacking each other, attacking teachers, and we're unprotected. Thank you.
Ann Christian, followed by Lon Burnham.
Good evening, I'm Ann Christian. My husband Steve and I are lifelong Fort Worth residents and products of the Fort Worth ISD, as are our 2 daughters. As a dyslexia therapist of over 30 years, I recognize the value in allowing a youth the freedom of choice in books that aid their social and emotional development. Our school librarians have already chosen books based upon age recommendations. We should trust our professionals who are employed by the ISD and honor their expertise rather than accept a challenge from a group outside our district, Citizens Defending Freedom, which focuses on restricting and banning literature that should be available to all. There is no freedom that results from this group's efforts, and a law like House Bill 900 should not be considered in the book review process. Our students should be afforded the ability to grapple with issues of race, war, death, religion, government, politics, sexual and gender issues, and any other subjects that have been dealt with by writers for hundreds of years. Shakespeare, Chaucer, Melville, to name a few. When our older daughter was in elementary school, she gave a report on the diary of Anne Frank and portrayed Anne herself wearing an armband with the Star of David. Should the diary of Anne Frank be banned because of a young girl's sexual curiosity and her emotions for another female? Months ago, I ordered the graphic novel Genderqueer in an effort to understand why it is being banned by some districts, and I found the memoir to be a very insightful and poignant journey of a young person grappling with sexual identity. Our children need to see themselves and struggle with hard issues within the pages of a book, and I see no reason why someone would be prevented to read a book like Genderqueer. Again, our professional librarians can place books like this in certain areas of the library. We parents love our children and want the best for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Lon Burnham, followed by Jeremy Orsag.
Good evening. My name is Lon Burnham, and I've had the pleasure of meeting most of you at one time or the other and visiting with you about various school issues. I just want to say that I don't always come, but I always follow up. I haven't been here in a year. I came here a year ago to greet enthusiastically the new superintendent, told the group as a whole, various civic organizations I'm involved with, that I thought I'd be seen or at, and she's fulfilled every hope in that regard. So I want to thank you, the board, for hiring her, and I want to thank her for her first great year, but I know you all have been subjected to a lot of nonsense in the year that I've not been here. I want to clarify, I have been a resident of the district and a taxpayer. Well, I didn't pay taxes when I was living at home, but I've been a resident of the district since the 50s. I've been paying taxes here for well over 40 some odd years. I'm a proud graduate, K through 12 myself. Both my brothers, my mother, late mother, is retired from the school district. We've always been fans of the school district. My wife is a double graduate degree with a library science and completed a professional career in library sciences and was very active with the Texas Library Association. I'm here to tell you I had a great English teacher in Mr. Head who encouraged me to read Moby Dick in the 7th grade. I had a great English teacher, Ms. Bellamy, who pointed out to me those 100 books that you might read before you go to college that she couldn't recommend Catcher in the Rye, but I might want to consider it. I had a great English teacher, Miss Coltis, who let me do a term paper on Hemingway that I still remember the thesis sentence. I had a great educational experience, and I spent 18 years in the legislature advocating for the school district, and I have a button now advocating for retired teachers and Proposition 9 on the constitutional amendment. I'm just sick and tired of what you're having to put up with from non-residents of the district. I don't believe in book banning. All 3 of the books that I cited or authors have been banned at one time or another. It's time to stand up to the people that would censure our kids' opportunity to learn.
Thank you. Jeremy Orsag, followed by Doreen Geiger.
Hello, excuse the attire, I just came out to practice field. Good afternoon, distinguished board members and administration. My name is Jeremy Orsag, and I'm a current special education teacher and coach at Eastern Hills High School. I've been with Fort Worth ISD for 6 years now, 3 at Southwest High School, and now 3 years with Eastern Hills. It is my distinct pleasure to speak on behalf of Ms. Katrina Smith, the principal of Eastern Hills High School. I've known Ms. Smith and worked closely with her for the last 5 years. She is a dedicated and knowledgeable professional and a credit to the ranks of the teaching profession. Ms. Smith always keeps the needs and well-being of her students, faculty, and staff at the forefront of her endeavors. She demands excellence and sets the tone for success by building her students, teachers, and staff up with an organized, cheerful, yet demanding atmosphere. Through Ms. Smith's involvement and with her support of our many college career readiness programs, many students have continued their education in college who might never have dreamed of going to college otherwise. Professionally, she works positively and cooperatively with peers, administrators, and parents. Katrina Smith is a responsible professional with a keen knack for organization, time management, and follow-through. She is committed to keeping her word and always excels in meeting the needs of the young people and school staff she serves. She's a positive role model in the community with a personable style and unbending integrity. Ms. Smith truly believes Eastern Hills is the pride of the East Side. And once again, I could not recommend a more loyal, caring, and professional principal than Ms. Katrina Smith.
Thank you. Doreen Geiger, followed by Bob Willoughby.
I have been a resident and taxpayer in Fort Worth ISD for 51 years. This board needs to require everyone to abide by the rules to challenge any book. Fort Worth ISD residents must go online and complete the form where he or she signs that he or she has read the book and the exact reason the book is being challenged. People must do this for every book they challenge. Board, please do not accept lists that are sent to you. Follow Fort Worth ISD procedures. It is board policy that books being reconsidered are still made available to students until the review is complete. You violate your own policy by withholding books from students. At the last board meeting, I sat behind a woman who said she was against some books. When I asked her if she had read them, she said no, and she had not even seen them. At the last board meeting, a woman took down the names of those people who wanted books banned and looked up their addresses. Many of the public speakers do not live in Fort Worth ISD. A large number of the speakers were from Keller and other Northeast cities. The Citizens Defending Freedom group is a national group that pays people to speak at school board meetings to destroy the public education system. This is not really about the books in Fort Worth ISD. It is about politics. It is about Governor Abbott's plan to implement student vouchers. The timing of these activists is interesting since Abbott wants to call a special session to pass his plan for vouchers. This is about the privatization of education. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Willoughby, followed by Gino Ayala. Not here. Okay. Gino Ayala, followed by Holly Plemons.
Got to excuse the way I look. I just got off work as well. I'm here to speak on behalf of Mr. Garcia and the alumni from Diamond Hill Jarvis. We would like to thank you for putting him in that position that he was in. He has brought a lot of community love, a lot of community strength, and a lot of community gathering by alumni. I'm just a little nervous, but you know, having him in the position that he was in, we feel as though we should give him another chance or put him back in the position for the fact that the community was in a good spot. With him not being there, it's lost. To me, I think it's lost. There's not a relationship with the alumni, with the current principal. Man, I'm nervous, excuse me. But I feel as though Mr. Garcia should be put back where he was at. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Holly Plemons, followed by Sierra Jackson.
Okay, Holly Plemons, mom of 3, taxpayer in Fort Worth ISD. I passed out my notes that I did on the agenda for you guys, and the first thing I want to talk about is Advance. This is a wraparound service. That's socialism. It's charity with my tax dollars, and Advance is going into the schools, and your agenda item says no cost. That's an absolute and utter lie, because it requires use of space, electricity, AC heat, and custodial services. And Fort Worth ISD staff will also be working with Advance 4 times a year, and that time given by Fort Worth ISD staff is being funded by Fort Worth ISD taxpayers. In the MOU, page 74, top of the page, second from the bottom, Fort Worth ISD staff is also committing to support recruitment of parents. Are you guys giving Advance all of your parents information so that they can go find their 0 to 4-year-old children? Do you have consent from them to do that? I also provided all the data on Advance. It doesn't do anything. It's the most minuscule bumps up in points, and it requires home visits. Are these mandated reporters? If parents have a couple of dirty dishes, are they going to get CPS called on them? You're targeting our minority population. Heavy Hispanic is what this one is for. And so if they go into the house and they find out that their tea isn't illegal, are they going to call ICE on them? Is this what these mandated reporters are going to do? And then the data is not there showing that it helps anything. Center for Transforming Lives, page 122. This is, again, socialism, charity with tax dollars. No cost item, but taxpayers are being asked to fund the use of space, supplies, teacher's salary, training, meals, diapers and pull-ups, and toothbrushes every 3 months. This is also another one that goes into the home and does home visits twice a year. These home visits are done by teachers that are mandated reporters. This is scary to be allowing people in to do this. You should pull them.
Sierra Jackson, followed by Shafiria Titus.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Ramsey. My name is Sierra Jackson, and I am a senior at Eastern Hills High School. For the last 4 years, I have been under an awesome leader, Principal Katrina Smith. Principal Smith has made a tremendous impact on my life academically, as a mentor and a student leader. Whenever I needed to talk, cry, or even laugh, she always made time for me. No matter how busy she was, she always welcomed me into her office. Over the past few weeks, her absence in my life has been felt tremendously. I no longer feel like I have the support that I used to. I miss her checking on me and my grades and always reminding me as the captain of the drill team to always be a leader, even when I think no one is looking. I am here tonight to show her the same support she has shown to all students and ask that no one of the most influential women on our campus may not be removed away from Eastern Hills family. Thank you.
Shafaria Titus, followed by Kaylin Smith.
Good evening, board trustees and Dr. Ramsey. My name is Shafaria Titus, and I am a teacher at Eastern Hills High School. I am here to speak on the behalf of Mrs. Katrina Smith, our principal. I met Ms. Smith 6 years ago when I began my teaching at Eastern Hills High School. As most first-year teachers, I was very nervous and apprehensive about my assignment. Ms. Smith, as a former special education teacher, took me under her wing and mentored me. I was able to grow and learn the critical skills that I would need to be a successful teacher. In a normal school day, hundreds of things take place that must be handled with professionalism, tact, integrity, and compassion. Mrs. Smith was able to guide me in every area so that I was able to meet and exceed my student and parents' needs. I have talked to several of my former colleagues, and they almost always say that they wish that I had a principal as supportive as I have as Ms. Smith. She is not just a principal, she displays a motherly role with teachers and students alike. Her honesty, integrity, and her ability to guide teachers and students with constructive criticism is phenomenal. We all have made mistakes, but Mrs. Smith, she finds a way to use our mistakes as teachable moments. Her leadership, drive for perfection and relentless pursuit of academic rigor has been missed. I am concerned about the loss of time without her instructional leadership. The individuals that have been here since the beginning of her tenure at Eastern Hills know her expectations and her commitment to meeting those expectations. It would be in the best interest of the decision makers to reinstate Ms. Smith as principal of Eastern Hills High School so that the expectation and academic rigor she has become known for continues. Thank you in advance for her reinstatement.
Kaylin Smith, followed by Alfredo Portillo.
Good afternoon, members of the board and Dr. Ramsey. My name is Kaylin Smith, and I'm the daughter of Miss Katrina Smith. My father and I are here today to show support and ask that she be reinstated. My mother has been an educator for 26 years, with 22 of those years right here in Fort Worth ISD. She has been dedicated and committed to impacting the lives of thousands of students. This past month has been very challenging for her because she's not able to do what she loves to do, which is to engage with and educate her students. Her character and integrity until now have never been questioned. Every school within the district where my mother has been a leader has thrived. She has been promoted several times because of her skillfulness in providing a quality education for all of her students. My entire life, my mother has been extremely dedicated to the Fort Worth Independent School District. Even during the times it seemed that she worked 24/7, my father, brother, and I never complained because we always understood God's assignment for her. She never judges her students' walk in life. However, she's always been a positive, uplifting, and motivating individual. She's determined to create a path for her students to be productive citizens in society as well as lifelong learners. My mother's work has not only impacted students, but she's also been instrumental in the promotions of several employees, including into leadership roles right here in the district. Every day that my mother is not on campus, students are losing instructional time because the captain of the ship is not there, which is a detriment to the entire school and community. Please reinstate my mother as principal of Eastern Hills High School so that the students can continue to excel in their academic endeavors. Thank you.
Alfredo Portillo, followed by Roxanne Rodriguez.
Hi, good afternoon. I am here to speak on behalf of Katrina Smith. I have known Ms. Smith since she started working at Eastern Hills. She is a very dedicated principal. She is a team player. But not only is she a team player, she is there to create a family. I worked for her for almost 5 years, and I enjoyed every single year I was with her. I not only was her Spanish teacher, but I learned and I grew as an employee. And I know that's what she brings to the table, and I know that's what the kids are missing from her. She is there as a leader. She guides us as a staff. She guides the students to be successful. She does not allow any student or any of her faculty to be on the side of losing. She is not there for that. She wants to see success from every single student she has in her class. I believe that she has been a great asset for the school, and not only the school, but the community. She is a hard worker. She is dedicated. And I have nothing but good things and great things to say about Katrina Smith, and I want her back at Eastern Hills. I think that's where she belongs, and that's where she needs to be. Thank you very much.
Roxanne Rodriguez, followed by Estelle Williams.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Ramsey. My name is Roxanne Rodriguez. I am a parent and student of Diamond Hill Jarvis High School and currently serve as the DH Day Booster Club, president of the DH Day Booster Club. I'm here today on behalf of the community, parents, students, and members and alumni who support Principal James Garcia. Some of those parents and community are also here today. Please stand up, guys, to show our support. Since Mr. Garcia has been the principal of Diamond Hill, we have seen campus gain stability, make academic growth, and significantly improve parent and community engagement. Our campus went from improvement required in 2017 to now being 2 points away from being a B campus, at a campus where 95% of our students are economically disadvantaged. This is not an easy thing to accomplish. It is deeply concerning how the district is treating our veteran principals at some of our highest need campuses with no regard to impact on our students. I come before you today and concerned about the direction of our campus and our students' well-being. In that time, Mr. Garcia has been away from our campus. We have had issues with drinking water for our students. The landscaping of our athletic fields has been ignored tremendously, and we are worried about the academic stability of our campus. So on behalf of Mr. Garcia and all the parents at Diamond Hill Jarvis High School, Mr. Garcia needs to be back at this campus. Thank you.
Estelle Williams, followed by Pastor Lafayette Kelly.
Good evening, Superintendent Ramsey and board trustees. I stand before you, as others have already done so, speaking in regards to one who is listed on your agenda, faced with the severe action of termination. Certainly, I believe for every action, there's a reaction, and for every reaction, there is a consequence. As you consider the consequence for the situation at hand, my investigative knowledge causes me many questions that appropriate answers are lacking. Answers such as, does over 20 years of dedicated experience and service to a district amount to nothing? Does it count for nothing? Not having any prior evidence of behavioral or any kind of consequences in a personnel file. The only person from Eastern Hills High School that's on the list for termination were the others with financial responsibilities. There are many holes in the situation. Therefore, Superintendent Ramsey and Board of Trustees, I appeal to each of you, as you consider the consequences, I would ask that termination not be one that is leading at the head of the action, which would be a detriment not only to one's career, but also to a community. We've heard the people talk. We've heard the teachers and staff members speak. And so I would ask that instead of you considering a consequence that is so harsh, that you would consider reprimands. Truly, there's an opportunity to try and correct. Who in here who's not made a mistake? And we're not one to say how big or how small the mistake is. So I would recommend, as an individual that is in a serious event right now, that it be considered as reprimands. There are things that can be done for a serious mistake. She is respected, she is wanted, and truly needed. So please consider your actions. Thank you.
Pastor Lafayette Kelly, followed by Nanette Cowan.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Pastor Lafayette Kelly, senior pastor of the Abundant Life Church, born and raised on the east side of Fort Worth, Texas, product of the Fort Worth Independent School District, and proud graduate and alumni of Paul Laurence Dunbar. I know the importance and have personally experienced the impact of leadership who were committed to our development as students during my time through the Fort Worth Independent School System because of their sacrifice and their service. Because of these leaders who cared and were committed to their calling, I am the man that I am today. This type of leadership was necessary then on the east side of Fort Worth and is necessary now on the east side of Fort Worth as well. And we have that through the leadership of Principal Katrina Smith. A few areas I wanted to highlight during this time. Number one, her commitment. There is no question about her commitment to the students in our community through the contributive avenue of Eastern Hills High School. It's not just a title for her, but a calling. And it's a calling that keeps you committed. That commitment comes through upbringing and realization to get wisdom from those at the level where she wanted to grow to. As a result, she is able to identify with the youth within our communities because of their similar family trajectory she had to go through that many of our students are living through now. Yet through it all, has gained the tools and grown to be the heartfelt, passionate leader to prove to our students that despite the adversity, it can be done. Number two, her consistency. As already has been stated, she has been an educator for 26 years, 22 of those years here in Fort Worth. And then lastly, her community credentials. There have been countless leaders who have been promoted from under her leadership who are impacting lives and making a difference in their assigned communities. Each school community in the district under her leadership has thrived. Overall student achievement has improved at Eastern Hills. Principal Smith is also a charter member of our church. Principal Smith is needed and necessary for the community of the East Side. Thank you.
Nanette Cowan, followed by Aaron Volberg.
Esteemed board members, Superintendent Ramsey, my name is Nanette Cowan, and I'm a registered nurse at Clifford Davis Elementary School. We have 705 students registered with us today and more enrolling every day. This is my 38th year as a registered nurse. I'm here to discuss the June 27th board meeting where the board approved the 23-24 compensation plan. In that plan, there was a recommendation by TASB to adjust the district's compensation practices. They had never paid us for experience outside of the school. I came to the school with 31 years' experience, but I was paid as a one-year nurse. Very, very disheartening and demeaning. These new practices would recognize our work experience outside of the education field. Nurses were designated as one of the groups to receive the salary purposes for their years of service. Fort Worth nurses were thrilled. We had worked on this since May of last year. We came to the board and spoke. We spoke to Channel 5. We spoke to the superintendent. It's just a lot of things we worked on last year in May, and finally this has come to fruition. But the reason that we're here is because they are wanting so much documentation. 38 years, when I was a nurse at JPS in the 80s, that was 2 names ago. That was my first name, my second name, and my third name, all at JPS. To do this, Mr. Bailey had said you need to get your work history, you can use tax records, you can use pay stubs, even a notarized letter from your supervisor. Just give us a call if you hit a snag. Mr. Bailey is a wonderful, wonderful man. He's executive director right now of compensation, and he's amazing. We just want, this is my 38 years. This is my book, 38 years. My husband's so upset because my tax records are in here. We cannot be asked to do this. Thank you.
Aaron Volberg, followed by Carlos Tercios.
Good evening. My name is Erin Volberg, and I have been a dedicated school nurse for the Fort Worth ISD since 2018. I am here this evening to highlight the recent struggles the dedicated nurses of this district have had and continue to have in seeking fair and appropriate pay commensurate with their experience. We have been informed that if we provide the desired documentation, we will be paid for our prior years of nursing experience. Fort Worth ISD nurses are now being asked to provide documentation from previous employers, information that can be found on each of our resumes we submitted when we applied for the jobs we currently hold. The same resumes were evaluated prior to being hired. You are now asking nurses who have worked for this district for decades to locate documentation from employers that don't even exist anymore. Hospitals that have been closed since the early 2000s, clinics that have changed hands several times and thus no longer retain employee information. My question is why? We are selfless, dedicated professionals being tasked with extra stressors and responsibilities when we are already doing more than the job of a school nurse. Many of us are responsible for a school that also happens to be short-staffed. Thus, we are filling the role of nurse, counselor, care coordinator, and case manager, and sometimes therapist. Many of us barely have the bandwidth to complete our charting and documentation each day when we are doing the jobs of several. These same nurses being tasked with a scavenger hunt for records from a decades-closed hospital system are these same nurses who were absolutely essential during COVID. We are still here because this is our calling. We care deeply for our students and their well-being. However, this request has quickly become a bridge too far for many. Please consider accepting the resumes and work history of your nurses rather than asking them to prove themselves to you. Thank you.
Carlos Tercios, followed by Crystal Carr.
Good evening and thank you. This is Texas, land of football. I don't think there's many people in the room who haven't heard at least a little bit about the coaching journey of former Dallas Cowboy Deion Primetime Sanders. Recently, another coach questioned whether Primetime was raised right. Deion was quick to present his mother, who promptly told the world, "I raised him right." I'm here to profess to you all that Katrina Smith has had a hand in raising thousands of students, teachers, administrators, and countless others in Fort Worth ISD for over 20 years. She has empowered generations of students to follow their dreams and go beyond the expectations of zip code politics. She has helped countless parents to support their children when other doors were shut in their faces. She has lifted teachers and coaches and counselors and other school staff so they might be inspired to change the life of a child. And for one little English teacher, eventually turned assistant principal, who used to go and eat in her car during lunch, she poked her and made her come out of her shell and gave her the confidence to believe in herself and her students and that she could make a difference. And then one day, she did, because her big sister was there to help guide her steps. That's the kind of person Katrina Smith is. And to say she's anything less than dedicated, a woman of character, is doing a disservice to this district that has raised myself, her, and the millions of people in this room that we all have impacted, that she has impacted. After all, we, my brothers and sisters, have been raised right. Thank you.
Bob Willoughby, followed by Joe Palmer. Mr. Willoughby?
First off, let me apologize. The last few times I've been here, it's been hours for to get to this part. First time I'm here late, you're up to this. Okay. Basically, the problem is I have is, as a president, I called over a week ago. No return calls, no response. I feel it's intentional. There's no response. Because I rented the John T. White School 2 months ago to put together a new neighborhood association. I filled out an application, signed a contract, told them everything we was doing, what I was doing it for. After I spent about $1,000 on advertisement and leaflets, I get a notification that my school has been canceled tomorrow. It's for tomorrow night, and it's been canceled after putting out thousands of leaflets on door to door. Okay. The woman in charge of operations, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, came to the conclusion it is the school's fault. I'm not at fault here, but I'm being penalized. Easy way to fix this. You have the power, she said, to fix it. Honor my contract tomorrow. Send me a notice in the email in the morning saying you're going to honor my contract. Breaking this contract is wrong. Now, if you don't do it, I know it's not that much money, it doesn't hurt you, but I will sue for the $1,000. I think I'll win because the school admit it's their fault. Now, I've been through a hard time for the last few weeks trying to correct this thing, and it all comes down to politics. Gina Bibbins is behind this. I just got a letter from the city attorney to quit putting out leaflets. I mean, and she spoke out publicly. She didn't want me to have this meeting there because the John T. White Neighborhood Association is corrupt, and that's what we're trying to get out of our neighborhood by starting a new one called the Drawing Heights Neighborhood Association. I expect you to do the right thing tomorrow morning. Give me an email saying that my contract's not broken. I can go forward with my rental, my school, because we got people going to be showing up tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow, but it's to embarrass.
Joe Palmer, followed by Atalia de la Cruz.
So for the nurses, it's possible that it's illegal for the district to sell your data if it exists on your resume or on your job application, but it may not be illegal for them to sell your data if you provide it to them now. I would read every single word of everything this district gives you to sign to give them your data. On page 251 of your packet, we've got an item for buses, 10 buses for several $1 million. please discuss and review the policy for when to retire buses as far as mileage and age. Has staff told you just how many buses are out for repair? What is the age and mileage of these buses? What is the total number of buses in Fort Worth ISD's current fleet? How many are fully operational? We find that out of over 400 buses in Fort Worth ISD's fleet, 300 are at the Clark Bus Barn, where only 120 are operational. We find that of the West Side Bus Barn, out of 80 buses, only 17 are operational. At the North Side Bus Barn, out of 32 buses, only 4 are operational. You had all of the summer, you had all of COVID to get these buses up and running with air conditioning. Some of the air conditioners aren't working. We have been told that the reason why one of the football games was forfeited was not because of a COVID outbreak, but because you didn't have transportation. When these students start driving themselves to the game, God forbid what happened if they get in an accident. Who's responsible? Whose fault is it? How many mechanics do you have? You have 4 mechanics at the Clark Bus Barn, 4 mechanics at the West Side Bus Barn, and 0 at North Side. Maybe you should be paying the mechanics more. If you paid mechanics more, they would apply for jobs and we could get these buses fixed. You don't need to buy new buses. Just fix the ones you already have.
Atalia Dela Cruz, followed by Jamie Foster.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jamie Foster. I am a former employee of Fort Worth ISD and a graduate of Eastern Hills High School. I am here today as a character witness for Katrina Smith, which I'm very proud to do so. I have known Katrina for 27 years. I have always found Katrina to be trustworthy, hardworking, intelligent, and dedicated, especially to Eastern Hills High School, to the point where she will not answer the phone due to tending to her students. Anyone here who knows Katrina can attest to that. I have never met someone so dedicated to a district, to students and staff. 22 years, ladies and gentlemen of the board. 22 years. That is a great deal of loyalty and dedication that you will not find in many employees these days. Katrina loves Eastern Hills High School and has a passion for serving those students and being a support to the staff and community. For these reasons, I would like the board members to closely examine, to go within, and make the best decision for Eastern Hills High School students and staff, which is reinstating Katrina Smith. Thank you for your consideration.
Jessica Morrison, followed by J.R. Martinez.
Good evening, board. I'm J.R. Martinez. I'm not Jessica, so just thought I'd let you know about that. I represent you as your Tarrant Appraisal District Board and here to give you your yearly update. Once again, TAD certified the 2023 appraisal roll timely again this year, certifying on July 20th, despite a record number of protests. For the past 15 years, TAD has certified the roll on time. This year, TAD received over 214,000 protests in 2023, which is about an 8.5% increase over last year, but down 22% increase over prior years. In speculating why, one simple factor, there are more accounts than ever, and Tarrant County continues to grow and be a great place to live. There was also an extremely active real estate market in the early portion of 2022, moving towards a more stable market mid-year. The residential market had appreciation from January 1st, 2022 until that point mid-year that the conditions cooled off. This year, over 78% of the protests filed were filed by professional property tax consultants. TAD accurately and timely transmitted monthly data supplements to tax offices in Tarrant, Johnson, Denton, Dallas, and Parker counties. Recognized as one of the best places to work for in Fort Worth by Fort Worth Inc. magazine in 2021. TAD was again recognized as one of the best places to work for in Fort Worth in 2022 and 2023. This honor is a result of employees responding to questions via an anonymous survey produced and controlled by Fort Worth Inc. magazine. TAD is currently in the middle of the State Comptroller's 2023 property value study. We have had an excellent first meeting with the Comptroller staff and are optimistic about our ability to communicate well with them as we go forward in this test of the district's valuation results. And currently, the TAD board is in the process of hiring a firm to find candidates for the chief appraiser position. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Gabe Perot, followed by Amy Super.
Good evening. My name is Gabe Perot. I am a Fort Worth resident, and it's come to my attention that you guys are looking into a study as to why the numbers have your availability is 90,000 students, to my remembrance, but you only have 72,000 students. And you guys are looking at a study during the school board meeting and asking the question, why are no parents enrolling their children in our schools? And on this study, we're looking into all these different directions, and I was wondering if maybe parents are thinking about the values that they want to put their kids under. Maybe parents are thinking, and I know as well earlier in this public session where people are sharing their thoughts, that the argument is that we need to keep values of faith in the Bible completely out of our schools. But what's interesting is no one actually believes faith should be separate from schools. They have their own faith. They have their own religion. They have their own set of propaganda that they're trying to get to the kids. And so I offer maybe the first attendant of your study of why parents are not putting kids in their school. Could it be that they're so concerned that their kids aren't actually receiving basic education anymore, but instead they're getting indoctrinated with the next set of the woke agenda of, instead of equal opportunity, it's this attempt to get equal outcomes, and it completely disregards everyone's free will and work ethics that could actually get them in the place of where we want to be. And so I just want to come on here, and as a resident of Fort Worth for the past 4 years, and I think I might represent many others who have moved here from California or New York or Virginia, and the reason they left their states is because they're looking to place their families in an environment that is actually safe for their children. And maybe they don't have to put their kids in the hands of the professionals who don't know what a woman is. Of course, this speech might be offensive to some, but I thought we were loving and accepting. With that being said, thank you.
Amy Super, followed by Jennifer Nelson.
Okay, so first of all, I want to make one thing clear, only because somebody had to bring it up again tonight. I am not paid to be here by anyone, nor do I receive anything as compensation for coming to these meetings. I attend almost every regular meeting at my own expense, and the most precious thing, my own time. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise or wash us with one broad stroke. That's inaccurate. I'm talking to you about item number 8DB3. It indicates no cost for funding, cost, no cost. There are costs. Y'all, they didn't even give you the contract that, by the way, has already been signed, so I'm not real sure why it's on the agenda for you to approve when it was signed, I believe, the 23rd of this month. So that's a little confusing to me. I'm in Miss Schools. It's Rainwater Foundation thing. However, just like the one that Holly mentioned, there is a cost. You have staff that have to attend meetings. Are you guys, I'm wondering, is our superintendent asking our staff to do all these meetings and all these programs on their own time? Surely they're on the clock. That's a district expense. This is disingenuous. Don't do that to us. Don't allow her to do that to you. She's the one employee that you're responsible for, and you need to hold her accountable. You can hire her like you did, and you can fire her. okay? So don't tell me something's not going to cost when it is going to cost. That's just, it's ridiculous. It's insulting, okay? I need you guys to quit getting involved with things like this until you're capable of showing us you are going to give us students who are able to read, write, proficient in math and science. You have no business addressing holistic wraparound services, and you sure the heck don't need to be involved in programs that facilitate parents building social and economic capital. I once again ask you, stay in your lane. Quit partnering with entities for which a simple Google search will show you they have agendas and they have nothing to do with educating children. Thank you.
Jennifer Nelson, followed by Pamela McDonald.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Jennifer Nelson. I'm a Fort Worth ISD parent, taxpayer, and resident, and a weekly reading mentor at a local Fort Worth elementary. I'm deeply concerned with the very reactive and seemingly contrary way that the board responded to a call from Citizens Defending Freedom for a book ban of over 100 books and the subsequent closure of school libraries without due process and not in adherence with your own publicly stated policy and practice. As a Christian woman who believes in separation of church and state, I'm deeply concerned about First Amendment rights being violated. I've read the letter from the National Coalition Against Censorship to this board and agree that challenged resources should not be restricted during the consideration process. Not only were they restricted, all books were with the closing of libraries. By allowing a small extremist group with a national agenda this much power, you failed our students. The CDF does not represent Fort Worth ISD parents in the interest of our children. I urge you to read what was located at the back of your packet from Sabrina Bell regarding research conducted on CDF and their subversive practices of employing non-residents in strategic districts to carry out their agenda. I do not need their help parenting my child. Family and faith values are taught at home, not on the shelves of the library. I believe parents should address what their children can read and check out at home, and I do not seek to steal the agency of other parents to teach their children what they believe. I know many librarians in this district and feel a deep empathy for how this action disempowers them and dismisses their knowledge and expertise. We hired them, let them perform their job. Read the books in question in their entirety in order to make a clear and informed decision. Allow education and literacy experts to assist in this process, not extremists with a clear and hate-filled agenda. Our students are witnessing this, you and all of us. And this sends a clear message about who has power and who has value. Book banning and the attempt to control a population and its freedom of thought through reading has a long and tragic history in the world. Do not join those ranks. Listen to Fort Worth taxpayers and parents before making decisions that risk our children's access to reading and our constitutional rights.
Pamela McDonald, followed by Jane Collins.
Good evening. Sorry if I'm a little croaky. I have been told I have allergies. I've been out in the garage looking for forms and stuff to send to compensation. We do appreciate that you voted us to pay for our experience. However, finding those forms is very difficult. I had almost 20 years in at Harris. Texas Health, they have informed me that they cannot send me anything with a signature. Go to Workforce. Compensation says, we want a signature. Nanette happens to have been one of my bosses out of Texas Health HEB when I was out there. I went to work at Plaza. Plaza informed me that even if you quit today, we cannot sign anything. You have to go to our verification agency. Osteopath is closed. Nobody knows where their stuff is. Southwest Surgical Hospital was owned by National Surgical Hospitals. It was bought out in 2017 by Surgical Partners. They have ghosted me for the last 3 weeks. I did get a thing on my new phone, a voicemail transcribed, that she actually gave me my dates, but because that's not anything important, it's not signed, it's not official, it's not anything. I'm probably not going to get credit for those 6 years. 2 years ago, when I, spring, I wrapped two people's arms One of them was the vice principal, one was one of our 8th graders. The doctor at the ER that they went to, both went to different ones, they both sent me a thank you because they did not have to do surgery. They had to wear a cast, but they didn't have to do a surgery.
Jane Collins, followed by William McGinnis.
Hi, I'm Jane Collins. I'm a former teacher, also have been a dyslexia teacher. So like another speaker that spoke earlier, I'm concerned about children wanting to read. And I'm also concerned that certain people are being cut out by eliminating some of the LGBTQ books. And I went ahead and ordered genderqueer also, like the other person that spoke, and Flamer, and I thought I'm going to read these books. I think that maybe some people are just looking at the titles and objecting to the books, because I have a feeling that, at least from something I read in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, that a group called Citizens Defending Freedom is having too much influence over the school board. I just want to encourage you to have confidence in the policies that you had used in the past to pull books off if a parent objects and people read the book and it's not appropriate. Then I think that would be a good way to approach things. But I just don't like to see the school board getting intimidated by a national group that seems to have an agenda that's that I wonder about, right? So I just, I support the right of people to read books that are appropriate, which I trust librarians to pay attention to. Thank you very much.
William McGinnis, followed by Reed Biltz.
Hello. I stand in support of the Constitution of the United States and opposed to religious dogma and book banning. I do not believe that we should allow any religious dogma to control what we teach. Logic and reason should, and the Constitution should direct us on this. There are many, there's over 4,000 religions in the world right now. It's just amazing that we allow any of them to control what we teach or read. Thank you.
Reed Biltz, followed by Carlos Tercios.
My name is Reed Bills, and I'm a Fort Worth ISD taxpayer. And I want to explain to you this evening why books like Genderqueer, a memoir by Maya Kobabe, should be returned to middle and high school bookshelves. Genderqueer is a 2019 graphic novel that recounts the author's journey from adolescence to adulthood and their exploration of gender identity and sexuality. The book gently and truthfully tells young adults why they might be feeling as they do, questioning their identity and suffering because of their confusion. I have traveled this journey with my transgender son, Brian, who attended Fort Worth Public Schools from 1st through 12th grades. At the time he was a student, LGBTQ concerns were not acknowledged and gender dysphoria was not recognized. He struggled with his sexual orientation and identity, and although he received full support from his family and he was an avid reader, there were no books available to explain what he was feeling. He attempted suicide twice before the age of 20, and he tried to exist as a misidentified lesbian, even marrying his present spouse in a same-sex ceremony. At the age of 40, he finally learned who he truly was. He transitioned and has literally been a new person ever since. I don't want any more children or their parents to suffer as we did because the information that is available in books today, like genderqueer, are denied to them. Thank you.
Our final speaker is Carlos Tercios. Is he here? Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts this evening. The time is 6:41 p.m. The date is Tuesday, September 26, 2023. We will now recess and reconvene for executive session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code under Sections 551.071, 072, 074, and 076. In accordance with the open meetings law, the board opened the meeting at 5:30 PM with the quorum present, recessed and reconvened open session, adjourned regular session, convened executive session, adjourned executive session, and now reconvened open session at 8:53 PM with the quorum present. We're up to consent agenda items. As board president, I am making the following statement in accordance with board policy BBFA local. This is a reminder to all board members of the legal conflict of interest requirements and disclosure requirements you may have for matters under consideration on the agenda for this meeting. If required by law, board members shall recuse themselves from all discussion and shall abstain from voting on any matter pertaining to such a disclosure. Please note that items 8.C.2.C, approve agreement with the Jordan Elizabeth Harris Foundation, and 8.E.5.B, approve roof replacement and gym floor replacement at Morningside Middle School, have been pulled and will not be addressed at tonight's meeting. Are there any questions or comments concerning consent agenda items? Ms. Starr?
Thank you. Due to my employment with ESC Region 11, I am abstaining from item 8D1A and 8D4A.
Okay.
Did you get that? Thank you.
Okay. I again note that items 8.C.2.C, approve agreement with Jordan Elizabeth Harris Foundation, and 8.E.5.B, approve roof replacement and gym floor replacement at Morningside Middle School, have been pulled and will not be addressed at tonight's meeting. Do I have a motion accepting consent agenda?
So moved.
Trustee Jackson, second. Trustee Luebanos, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries 8-4, 1 against. Now let's move to action items. Item 9A. There was nothing removed from, we don't have anything on 9A. There are no personnel items tonight. Let's continue with action items. Consider and take action to propose a termination of Diamond Hill Jarvis High School Principal James Garcia's term contract for good cause in accordance with Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Do I have a motion? And I will take that. I move to approve the administration's recommendation and propose the termination of Diamond Hill Jarvis High School Principal James Garcia's term employment contract for good cause in accordance with Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Do I have a second? Trustee Dar. Any discussion? Let's move to voting. Motion carries 8-4, 0 against, and 1 abstention. Trustee Martinez abstained. Okay, now we consider, motion carries. Consider and take action to propose a termination of Eastern Hills High School Principal Katrina Smith's term contract for good cause in accordance with Chapter 1 of the Texas Education Code. Do I have a motion? Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Thank you, Ms. Starr. I move to approve the administration's recommendation and propose the termination of Eastern Hills High School Principal Katrina Smith's term employment contract for good cause in accordance with Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Do I have a second? Trustee Dar, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries 7-4-0 against and 2 abstentions. Trustee Martinez and Trustee Jackson. Motion carries. Let's move on to 9C1C, discussion and action to approve proposed termination of certain probationary contract employees for good cause pursuant to Chapter 21 of Texas Education Code. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the administration's recommendation and propose the termination of Elizabeth Nippers and Daryl Guyton's term employment contracts for good cause in accordance with Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
If the motion was for both, it's fine. Yeah, they were both named, and they're both proposed terminations of the same type of contract, correct? Ms. Jackson? Yes, it's fine.
Do I have a second? Trustee Bridges, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries 8-4, 1 against, no abstentions. Next item, 9C1D, discussion and action to approve proposed termination of certain term contract employees for good cause pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Do I have a motion?
We actually took both of those, President Rodriguez, in the prior vote.
Don't we have another?
There's a probationary employee and then their term.
Okay, yeah, so the term contract, who was that, Ms. Jackson?
The term contract is Elizabeth Nipper and Daryl Guyton.
So they're both term, one's not probationary?
Candace Searcy is probationary.
Okay, Ms. Searcy will take separately.
Yeah, so that's what I just,
Yes.
okay. Do I have a motion, Ms. Dar?
I move to approve the administration's recommendation and propose the termination of Candace Searcy's probationary employment contract for good cause in accordance with Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
Okay. Trustee Luébanos, second. Any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Now, where are we? We're on the budget. Okay, so we don't have any for 9C1E or 9C1F or 9C2A or 9D1A, so let's, or 9D2A. No, we need that one.
We are at 9C2, Business and Finance,
Okay.
9C2A.
All right, sorry. We're at 9C2A, discussion and action to approve budget amendment carry forward for purchase orders and tax ratification, election TRE balances. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Jackson, do I have a second? Trustee Ryan, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Let's move on to 9D1A, discussion and action to approve purchase of additional student technology devices and cases. Do I have a motion? Trustee Dar, do I have a second? Trustee Luébanos, any discussion? Let's please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're on to 9D2A, discussion and action to approve ratification to purchase 10 school buses. Do I have a motion? Trustee Martinez, do I have a second? Trustee Jackson, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're on to 9D2B, discussion and action to approve ratification for alternative student shuttle services. Do I have a motion? Trustee Jackson, do I have a second? Trustee Dar, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. On to 9D3A, discussion and action to approve superintendent or designee to enter in a contract for a district facility master plan. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Jackson, second. Trustee Luébanos, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, 9D3B, discussion and action to approve resolution calling for a study of school building capacity. Do I have a motion? Trustee Jackson, do I have a second? Trustee Dar, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Now on to 9D4A, discussion and action to approve ratification of job order contract for emergency repairs at Morningside Middle School. Do I have a motion? Trustee Jackson, do I have a second? Trustee Bridges, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're on to 9D4B, discussion and action to approve closeout contract with J.E. Dunn, Philip May, JV, and authorize final payment in conjunction with the 2017 Capital Improvement Program. Do I have a motion? Trustee Jackson, do I have a second? Trustee Dar, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. We're on to 9D4C, discussion and action to approve closeout contract with S&P and Post L, a joint venture, and authorize final payment in conjunction with the 2017 Capital Improvement Program. Do I have a motion? Trustee Ryan, do I have a second? Trustee Jackson, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Next item is 9D4D, discussion and action to approve closeout contract with SFP Squared JV LLC and authorize final payment in conjunction with the Capital Improvement Program. Do I have a motion? Trustee Jackson, do I have a second? Trustee Ryan, any discussion? Please move to voting. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're on to superintendent comments. Do I have comments by any board members or superintendent on current district activities? Trustee Bridges?
I want to give a shout out to one of our janitorial workers at at Van Zandt Gwen Elementary. This gentleman goes out of the way, Mr. Henderson goes out of the way in terms of not only keeping the building up to date and just looking up to par, but we had a situation where we were donated some bicycles because of the reading program that we had, and the donations that came in, we were thankful for the bicycles, but some of them were not in the best condition. But he went out of his way on a personal level to make sure that he shined them all up and made them look like they were brand new. And those kids just looked up to him as a celebrity. So I just wanted to give him a huge shout out and just thank him for the work that he does at Van Zandt Gwen.
All right, thank you, Trustee Bridges. Trustee Martinez?
I wanted to give a shout out and a round of applause for all of our students who auditioned for the All-State Small School Choir this weekend. We had 71 make it to Region Choir and 40 that are now pre-area bound, and that included Benbrook Middle School, High School, Carter Riverside High School, I Am Terrell, Western Hills, and YWLA. So congratulations to those students and their directors on that. And I also just wanted to give a big shout out and round of applause to the college and career readiness team and everyone that was involved in our recent college night on September 18th, where we had over 200 schools in attendance. I was happy to see students there from elementary, middle school, high school, and lots of parents and community engagement there. So kudos to everyone that was part of that team.
Thank you, Trustee Martinez. Trustee Jackson?
Thank you, Rodriguez, and our superintendent for rapidly processing this proclamation in honor of Bert Williams, who was born December 23rd, 1934, and expired September 21st, 2023. Whereas, born and raised in Texarkana, Texas, Mr. Williams moved to Fort Worth in 1955 and was always a proud Fort Worth citizen. Whereas Mr. Williams worked in Ridgely Country Club while in college at Bishop College in Marshall, Texas, where I might add to the proclamation he was the quarterback. Whereas Mr. Williams was elected by the citizens as a Fort Worth City Councilman from 1979 to 1989, Mr. Williams also served as Mayor Pro Tem during the last 5 years of his tenure on the council, coinciding with the divestment movement in Fort Worth. Whereas Mr. Williams also served on the Board of Trustees of the Employees Retirement Fund, whereas Mr. Williams founded the Texas Association of Black City Council Members under the Texas Municipal League and served as its first president. Whereas Mr. Williams was committed to the students, families, and communities of Fort Worth ISD and served not only on our Fort Worth ISD Bond Oversight Committee, but also on our Redistricting Committee. Whereas Fort Worth ISD and its board wish to honor Mr. Williams for his distinguished service and unwavering commitment to Fort Worth ISD and the larger community. The passing of Mr. Williams has caused a deep void of sadness in our community. Now, therefore, I and Helica M. Ramsey, Superintendent of Fort Worth ISD, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, do hereby wish to honor the service of Mr. Williams to the students, families, and community of Fort Worth ISD. We express our gratitude to Mr. Williams and his family for his service to Fort Worth ISD. Thank you.
Thank you, and we will now adjourn in the honor of Mr. Bert Williams, a great man. And the time is 9:12 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.